When the world gives you nothing but closed doors, sometimes the only thing you have left is the decision to knock again. This is not just a story about a poor little boy. It is a lesson about endurance, dignity, and the quiet power of refusing to surrender. In a small village surrounded by open fields and dusty roads lived a boy named Armand. His house was made of tin sheets patched together with pieces of old wood. When it rained, water slipped through the roof and gathered in bowls his mother placed carefully on the floor. They owned very little: two thin mattresses, a clay stove, and a wooden table that leaned slightly to one side. Armand's father had once been a farmer, but after a severe illness, he became too weak to work in the fields. His mother stitched clothes for neighbors, earning just enough to buy rice and lentils. Many nights, the food was not enough. Armand often pretended he wasn't hungry so his parents could eat a little more. Despite everything, Armand had one dream. He wanted to study. The village school stood at the edge of the marketplace. Children arrived each morning in clean uniforms, polished shoes, and neatly combed hair. Armand walked there barefoot. His uniform was faded, stitched and restitched by his mother. Sometimes other boys laughed at him. They whispered about his torn bag and the way he carried old, second-hand books tied together with string. But Armand never stopped walking to school. He listened carefully to every lesson. He wrote notes in margins because he had no extra pages. When teachers asked questions, his hand was always the first to rise, not because he wanted attention, but because he wanted a different life. One afternoon, the headmaster announced a district scholarship exam. The winner would receive free education, books, and even a small monthly allowance. For Armand, it felt like someone had opened the window in a dark room. He told his parents that evening. His father smiled weakly and placed his hand on Armand's head. "We cannot give you money, but we can give you our prayers." Preparing for the exam was not easy. Armand did not have electricity at home. After sunset, he studied under a street lamp near the market. Sometimes shopkeepers chased him away. Sometimes rain forced him to run home. Mosquitoes buzzed around his ears and passing motorcycles covered his books with dust. But Armand stayed. When his stomach growled, he drank water and continued reading. When his eyes burned, he washed his face and kept going. When doubt whispered, "Maybe this is too big for you," he answered silently, "I have no choice but to try." On the day of the exam, Armand walked to the town center with other students. Many arrived in cars with their parents. Armand came alone. His sandals were worn out, but his steps were steady. The exam hall was large and quiet. As he sat at his desk, fear crept into his heart. What if he failed? What if all those nights under the street lamp meant nothing? Then he remembered his father's fragile smile, his mother's tired hands, the leaking roof, the hunger. He picked up his pen. Weeks passed after the exam. Life returned to its normal rhythm of struggle. Armand continued helping his mother fetch water and his father with small chores, but every day he looked toward the road waiting for news. One afternoon, the headmaster sent someone to call him. Armand walked to the school, his heart pounding. He thought maybe he made a mistake in some paperwork. Maybe they needed a signature. Instead, the headmaster stood with a paper in his hand and a rare smile on his face. "Armand," he said slowly, "you have secured first place in the district." For a moment, the world felt silent. Armand did not shout, he did not jump, he simply stood there, as if trying to understand what those words meant. First place, scholarship, free education. He ran home barefoot, faster than he had ever run before. His mother was washing clothes outside. When he told her, she covered her face and began to cry. His father tried to stand but had to sit back down, overwhelmed with emotion. That scholarship changed many things. Armand moved to a better school in the town. He studied harder than ever before. He faced new challenges, harder subjects, unfamiliar surroundings, students from wealthy families who sometimes looked down on him. But he never forgot the street lamp. Years passed. Armand completed his education with honors. Eventually, he became an engineer. He returned to his village, not in a luxury car, but with a plan. He helped repair roads. He arranged scholarships for other poor children. He ensured the village school had electricity so no child would need to study under a street lamp again. People began to call him successful. But Armand knew the truth. Success did not begin when he won the scholarship. It began the night he decided not to quit. Here is the lesson. You may not control where you are born. You may not control your family's wealth, your circumstances, or the obstacles placed in your path. But you always control one thing, your decision to continue. The world often tests the poorest the hardest. It will laugh at your clothes. It will question your dreams. It will remind you of your limitations again and again. But if you refuse to give up, if you show up every day, even when no one is watching, something begins to shift. Not immediately, not magically, but slowly. Persistence is louder than poverty. Hard work is stronger than humiliation, and determination is richer than money. Armand's story is not about luck. It is about endurance. It is about a boy who had nothing except a dream and the courage to keep walking toward it. So, if today you feel small, overlooked, or behind in life, remember this. The road may be long and the nights may be dark, but as long as you keep moving, you are already ahead of the person who chose to stop. Never give up. Not because it's easy, but because your future may be waiting just one more step beyond your exhaustion.